Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
Hello and welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast, brought to you by me, Ellen Mary, and Michael Perry. We should all be cautious of caring for our environment and making small, sustainable changes in our daily lives. So why not start by making delicious changes? Stoneleigh Wines create their premium wine in New Zealand, and it's made from 100% sustainably sourced grapes, and it's vegan certified. Stoneleigh Sauvignon Blanc expresses the vibrancy and fresh flavours of the Marlborough region through their minimal intervention winemaking philosophy and collaboration with nature. We have a unique discount for our listeners. You can get 20% off Stoneleigh Sauvignon Blanc exclusively on Amazon using the code STONELEIGH20, STONELEIGH20.
What do you do when you have a gardening question, conundrum, or query? Look it up online, browse social media, or hunt the answer in your collection of gardening books. But have you ever called the RHS advice line and spoken to a real person? We've got Rebekah Mealey, RHS horticultural advisor, on the podcast today to tell us all about it.
Hey,
Hiya.
how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's good.
Welcome to the podcast. Well, you're the first of the new series, and we've got a quick way that we're going to get to know our guests from now onwards. So we've got a little quick fire question round just to take you straight in. Are you ready for it?
Okay, I'm ready. Go for it.
Okay,
All right.
hit it, Melon.
Here we go. Peanut butter or Marmite?
Oh, Marmite.
Ooh. Guacamole or salsa?
A guacamole.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Oh, yes. Messy desk or clean desk?
Totally messy.
Morning bird or night owl?
Oh, it's can I be both? No, so morning. I do wake up in the morning, but just don't talk to me.
Okay. Biscuits or brownies?
Brownies.
Mowing or weeding?
Weeding.
And peonies or penstemon?
Pennies.
Oh,
there we go.
But very short window.
Get to know Becky as quick as that. So, welcome to the podcast. We'd love to know more about you, Becky. Tell us about your background in horticulture and how you became the voice behind the telephone line.
Yeah, so I've been in the horticulture industry since I was 15. It kind of happened a little bit by accident. So I was doing works experience at school. My first selection was to work in catering, and that kind of fell through. And then they said, "Oh, go to Rees Heath College." So I was there for 1 week at Rees Heath College, and I thought, this is where I need to be. It was just amazing. It was just so easy, and so kind of we're taking cuttings and it was watering. It just felt right. And I'd recently also been diagnosed with dyslexia, so it was something that I've been told that, not sure what you can do A-level wise. So to actually find a career that, I just felt right. So did 3 years at Rees Heath. Then again, I was kind of at a kind of crossroads, thinking, well, what next? Happened to get a leaflet about Wisley, the studentship there at Wisley. And my college lecturer said, "You're not going to get in." Not really
so
supportive.
Not empowering.
So negative. No. So just to warn you, it is completely. Anyway, so I thought I took no notice. I went down and had a really good interview, and I got in, and they're like, "What, you got on?" I went, "Yeah, I got on." So
oh my God,
yeah,
still
then
at that
2
point
years.
they're being rude about it.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think it's I don't know. I think sometimes because it is the RHS and people have this, expectations of what it actually is. But when you're actually there, it's more of a leveler. There's lots of different people from different backgrounds. And I think, if anybody who wants to go apply, because it's, they have a little bit of everybody. So there's some people that have more strong botany background. Some people have more landscaping background. So so I was more of a practical background, and it was great. So did the 2-year diploma. Again, wasn't quite sure what had happened, and a job became available in the Arboretum at Wisley. So I stayed on and worked at the Arboretum. One of the things that I was missing from my student days was working at the flower shows, because that was something that I really, really enjoyed. So kind of said, can I come and help at Chelsea? So helped on the advice desk at Chelsea. He was sat next to Guy Barter, and Guy went, "You're really good at this. You should think of doing this as a job." I was like, "Okay, Guy, yeah, that's fine." So next thing, I kind of when I was pregnant with my daughter, I knew the flexible hours were better in advisory than they were in the garden, because the early starts and trying to get childcare was just going to be a nightmare. So I said to Guy, you said that I was really good. Can I have a job? He went, yeah. So again, I just did a bit of part-time work for him while my daughter was little. And then as soon as a door came open, I got a job. So it was good. And then I've been, it's amazing, isn't it? Just right time, right place all the way through.
But also having the confidence just to go for it as well, and to ask, what can you lose by asking?
This is it. And sometimes it's kind of like, then, okay, well, why not? How not? What can I do? And it's good.
But that's what you've done all along from the beginning, when you were told that you, wouldn't get on, to do what you wanted to do, and you went and done it anyway. Like, that's really important. And what you might as well try. If you get no, you get a no, but you might as well give it a go. And now look where you are. So that's really awesome that you've done that. So how long have you been there for now?
Oh, so I've been at the RHS since 2000. So it's a long time. It's like
you're a long timer.
So I am a part of the furniture.
You must enjoy your job, right?
Yeah, no, it's every day's different. Every day's a school day, as I say. You're always learning. And because the advisory team works so closely with the science team, you're kind of part of their experiments. So you're always learning that way. And again, I just really like helping people with their garden and helping solve their problems, and the feedback. And it's sometimes it's really good fun. And then other times it can be quite sad, because obviously different people's circumstances and situations that you're helping them with. But it's, every day is different.
And I guess you can influence the science team the other way around as well, by asking them to test certain things, or maybe you're seeing trends that are happening and, can you work on this? Does that work that way around as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, so I helped a couple of scientists and have looked at their experiments once a month, have a little walk around, kind of give a general health check to the plants, because they're very much scientists of different areas, whereas like for me it's like checking, have you fed them, have you watered them, and that sort of thing.
So tell us about your role and the advice line then, because is it an advice line like a 0898 number, someone rings up, or is it also online? I know you do a Twitter clinic as well. It must be a lot of different avenues now compared to when you first started, I guess.
Oh, completely. So there used to be an email, but now we actually have an online login that our members can log in to use, and that's called My RHS. And from there, they can link their membership, and then they can ask a question on my advice. So that's the quick way of asking online. But the phone lines are there. So they're Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we pretty much pick up at your first couple of rings. People go, "Oh, I didn't expect you to answer so quickly." It's like, no, this is a good phone line. So again, we've got like about 4 advisors each day manning the lines,
Mm-hmm.
answering gardening questions.
Wow.
And then also we've got face-to-face advice. So at the flower shows, you can come and ask a question. And then at all the 5 gardens, we have an advisor for specific days. So you can come and chat to us that way. But and again, obviously what I do on social media. So I have the Twitter clinic on Tuesdays. Instagram Q&A, and then I've just started doing Instagram lives, which is quite an interesting one.
Getting the questions live. You can't refer to all those books behind you then, can you?
No, I can't. Yeah, no, this it's just a little bit squeaky bum, that one, but yeah.
Yeah, but you must pick up so much knowledge over the years, and I guess you find the questions start to repeat in a way. They're kind of a set. Yeah.
Definitely a seasonality to the questions, and then also, but with having the online questions, you get a pattern that you see. These questions come in. So at the moment, my inbox is full of dead cordyline because people's cordyline have been caught out by the frost, and so.
What's your answer?
What's the answer? So it's just basically, if the stem's squidgy, cut it down as low as you can until it's firm, because it might come from the roots, might not. Yeah. But yeah, it's just
mad
a hard
how much
one.
Stuff died, isn't it? Lots of Hebes as well.
So crazy.
So surprising.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a theory that quite a lot of the things went into a little bit of a hibernation in the summer with the high temperatures of summer. Then when we had the mild weather in the autumn, they were in more of an active growth. So when we got that sudden sharp shock in November time, they were all in active growth, so they just got hit completely, because in some places the swing of temperature was like 20 C, and it was just too much for them.
So that's what it's like here in where I am at the moment in North Carolina. It swings between -3 overnight and then 20 degrees in the afternoon. And that's this week for you. But then even over the course of a week, you could, or 2 even, you could get a week where it's minus temperatures, and then all of a sudden the next 2 weeks it's like 20 degrees or maybe 15 to 20 degrees. And you see things like coming to life, and you're like, no, it's so early. Please stop. And then a month or 2 later, even like now, it's freezing cold again. So we have a balcony. Pretty much everything died. Died. And I did try to cover some, but we were like -13 some nights. And then it's just totally impossible. So anyway, I love the fact you are able to talk about gardening all day. I think it's possible you have my dream job. So I would
that job. What, you're crazy? What are you on about?
Yeah, but I don't just sit and talk to people about gardening all day. I write about it practically all day. What are some of the more common questions that you get asked? I know you said like with the seasonality aspect of it, and at the moment with the cordyline, that kind of thing. But is there like a running theme, throughout the year that you are commonly called up about?
I suppose sometimes it's establishment. So people would plant stuff, and potentially, again, they don't always get the seasonality things. So they maybe plant things in the summertime and then wonder why it's struggling. And then also because of the seasonality changes now, that how with climate change, we have to have a look at how people plant things in the spring and the autumn for establishment, especially if they're in a garden with dry soil. And then pruning is a big one. People are either really worried about pruning or they've hacked it, and then they kind of go, oh, how can I fix this? And you're like, you can't.
Stick it back on. How can I fix
That's it. That's the one.
I love that.
For them to say.
Stick it back on.
Yeah,
but it's not crazy.
Stick it back on.
You have to ask, like, you've got the advice line there. And if you've done something and then you've gone, no, shouldn't have done that. If there's any way you can save it, like, it's worth calling to check, because there might be 1 or 2 shrubs that you can save, Yeah,
exactly. No, there is. And it's quite interesting. Sometimes I get to, I help with marital disputes as well. So sometimes the husband of the house has done the pruning too hard, and you get on loudspeaker with the two of them going, I told you cut it too hard. And that's quite entertaining. Yeah.
It must be quite hard sometimes to answer some of the questions, because I guess like even in my Instagram inbox, I'll get people who send a photograph and they'll say, why is this leaf yellow? Or why did my plant die? It's like, well, there's like a whole load of things that could be going on there. So do you go through all of the steps to work out what it is, or how do you break it down?
Yeah, so we also have a diagnostic service that our pathologists and entomologists provide. So with the lockdown, our entomologists and pathologists got really good at identifying things from pictures, very good at identifying honey fungus from a good picture, the root at the base of the roots. And then if it's still not quite sure about it, RHS members can send in root samples to actually get them diagnosed with Phytophthora or some whatever's, if you haven't actually got a disease and potentially it's an environmental problem, because this is it. A lot of people want to have a disease because it's an answer, but actually you're better off it being environmental, and then you can replant easier.
When I used to be at Thompson & Morgan, we got lots of customer queries along this route, and I'm just remembering now all these soggy samples that used to arrive, and sometimes they really smelt as well. So sometimes like if the sample isn't in good condition, that makes identification 100% harder, doesn't it? Don't wrap it in wet tissue and then in a plastic bag. That just literally rots in the post. Oh gosh. And I always used to love the plant identification. Do you get many like that where they're just like, what is this plant?
Yeah, so we've got the botany team as well. So the botany team, that's their main focus. So on the online inquiries, people send in pictures that way. Sometimes they send in a picture of just one leaf, which is not ideal. You want the flowers. But also now we have an online identification that our members can use. So that's something they can have a look at. I get quite a few identifications on Twitter, which I always love. Because it's just,
I quite like an identification.
I do.
Yeah, defo.
I do as well. I don't mind the ID ones, and I think you feel really satisfied after you've ID'd it as well. Like, I know.
But you know what though? It's so funny you say that, Ellen, because at the Thompson Morgan Open weekends, I used to work on like the advice thing on the days, and it was like my least favorite job because kind of the demographic of customer never would believe an answer that came from someone younger or someone that they saw as less experienced. So I remember one time indeed identifying a plant, and I looked at the picture straight away and I could see it was some sort of Nicotiana. Let's say it was, I don't know, like the green one, Langsdorffii. And I was like, straight away, I was like, is that? And they were like, oh, well, and they didn't even listen to the answer. It was really weird. They were like, oh, well, we've kept searching everywhere and we'll keep on looking, because they don't expect you to have the answer. But also, and you might chip in here, Becky, because sometimes having the problem for the consumer is an identity. And the moment they've got the solution, they kind of don't want it because they got no search left in them. And so, like, if they've got a problem with their lawn and they've been searching around forever, you've given them the ideal solution, they probably are still going to ask someone else for a second or third or fourth opinion. Do you get that as well? Because that used to wind me up like crazy.
They just want this is it. But then sometimes you might not have given them the easy answer, so they might have not want the answer that you're giving.
You can't have the answer you want.
Or maybe it's because you gave them the botanical name and they had no idea what that meant.
But they wanted to know what it was. If there's no common name, this is what it is.
I know. But that can sometimes confuddle people as well, and then they might go into minor meltdown and be like, no, can't be that.
Funny. But I used to get that all the time, and it gets annoying, to be honest.
No, I mean, I really do like the idents, because especially when it's at the flower shows and you've kind of made somebody's day, and they've not known what it is, and it's like kind
until
of.
You see them ask someone else on the next stall. Yeah,
that's true.
Hello, I'm Lee, aka the Bearded Gardener, and I want to say first of all, what an honour and a privilege it is to be given a slot on such a prestigious podcast. So I really, really appreciate that. I look forward to chatting with you all over the next few sessions. So who am I? Who's the Bearded Gardener? Well, I'm a mental health and gardening advocate. What does that mean? Well, I talk a lot about the power of gardening, nature and the outdoors to improve and support our mental health and well-being, and that comes from a place of lived experience. So when I was sort of 10, 11, my mum started drinking. She turned to alcohol for various reasons, and my dad left, and I had two young sisters, and it was a chaotic and traumatic childhood where I had to deal with an alcoholic mum. And it was my grandmother's garden, large garden in the Kent countryside, that enabled me to escape, to understand how things grow, to get excitement and enjoyment from being outdoors. And I then went to university, studied drama, and it was the arts that gave me another outlet to deal with my past childhood trauma. And then the pandemic came, and all of that stuff that I had sort of tried to start dealing with in my 20s that had happened to me as a child came back again as we were trapped inside our houses, and we were isolated, and we were worried, and we were anxious, and we were nervous. And my mental health problems started to really ramp up. And then my grandmother died of COVID before vaccines were a thing, and we went back to the garden that I nurtured and played in and loved with her. And there was a seed box, an open seed box in her greenhouse, and it had some packets of seeds that were half open that she almost felt like she'd sort of dealt with the day before or just then, and I felt I had to have it. So I took the seed box. I reckon there must have been about 35 to 40 packets of seeds in there. I took them home, and that was the encouragement I needed, really, to start gardening again, to start getting out into my garden during the pandemic as a place to cope, to heal, and to connect really again with nature, because it really does do me the world of good, and I'm sure it does many of you the world of good as well. And that really kick-started who the Bearded Gardener is. I then started doing lots of dances in the garden, expressing how the garden was making me feel, connected with lots of people on social media, and the gardening social media world is a wonderful place. And really just started exploring, growing veg, successfully, unsuccessfully in that first year, courgettes, cabbages, blueberries, strawberries, lots of herbs, spring onions, radishes. And then I developed a project called The Giving Garden, which I think I'll talk about in the next session in more detail. But that was a space and a place for me to grow plants for other people going through tough times. And it's this connection with a community, with getting our hands in the soil together, to being outdoors, that really has helped me and has saved me, as I talk about a lot in the things I do these days. So yeah, that's a bit about me. But I'm just sitting here actually in the garden, and it's spitting. It's a bit of light drizzle. I live in inner city Southampton, so it's a city garden, and it's about 4.5 metres wide by about 13 metres long, and it's an end of terrace. There's a large, sort of 4 or 5 metre high wall of a garage next door to the right of me, and it is a fairly enclosed space. It's north-west facing as well, so not loads of sun, but things are happening. Things are popping up. We've got the daffodils coming out of the pots. We've got the alliums poking up through the soil. We've got, what else? We've got a hyacinth over there. Things are coming back to life. The heucheras are coming back. And actually, this really is what it's all about for me, and what I wanted to talk about in this first session, just that reconnection with what's to come, what we're looking forward to in the garden. After a dark winter, I don't cope too well with winter, but actually the days are getting longer. You can sit out here without really freezing, and and just noticing. I'm not doing any gardening today. I'm not actually getting my hands in the soil. I'm not potting up anything. I'm not doing anything at all. I'm just sitting and observing. And I think as gardeners, that's a key part of what we do. We observe. And that is what makes it such a great thing to do for our mental health and well-being, because we often forget to just sit and notice. And that's what the garden makes us do. And that's why I love it. So I look forward to speaking to you all again in the next episode. But I hope you have a good gardening day if you're out gardening. And I will continue to get drizzled on and wake up a bit this morning. So thank you all. Speak soon.
What would you say then, darling? You talked about working on the arboriculture area. What would you say is your specialist subject? Is it indeed trees, or is it another area that you really kind of specialise in?
Yeah, kind of trees and shrubs, but I've become very much a generalist, within Mealey horticulture, really, just because of the years and years of doing gardening advice. Weaknesses, I'd probably say fruit and veg. But yeah, they're definitely more kind of like your perennials and shrubs and trees. Yeah.
Very good. Do you have any funny stories of what people might have, what they call up and ask? Like, I had like in my head, I just imagine you sitting there with someone's called and you're trying not to laugh. And I know no question is a stupid question, but there must be some just really funny stuff that people call up and ask about,
Sometimes it's disbelief, kind of like that. We always get the autumn question. Some people don't always realise about things being deciduous and going, the leaves going brown and then falling off it. And then then you feel like really quite like, oh dear, they don't know about autumn. But then it's obviously, it's one of those things. Yeah, sometimes we've had a few plastic plants where people have thought they had a real plant and they've been watering it. Yeah, that's quite an interesting one.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, what do they say? They're like, it's not growing, or what?
Yeah, this is it. And then we get, no, this is it. But you kind of like wonder, this is it. It won't be wilting. But if you just sat there and you're thinking, well, what is it doing? But yeah, that is quite an interesting one. My least favourite question is wedding flowers, because some people want to grow their own wedding flowers, and it's just, and they've not given them themselves enough. It's not enough time they've given themselves, and it's like, actually, you need so much time and space because for them all to flower at the same time. It's like, there's people called florists. They're lovely.
That's really funny. Do you know what? I was just thinking about the plastic plant thing. I was walking through a shop with a friend just the other day, and they sell like the cactus with the plastic flower glued on, and she genuinely thought that was the flower. And I was like, wow. You can see it's plastic, touch it, and you can see the glue like globby around like the fig. But I think people do buy them and think they are the flower. Do you know what I mean? And then they must think the flower is flowering forever.
They must congratulate themselves that they did a good job. Yeah,
they've done a really, really good job. I think that's the worst thing. I absolutely hate seeing those. But she said, I've always seen them. I thought they were like the real flower. I was like, no. And also someone once messaged me on Instagram a photograph of something that I don't know, a friend or family member or whoever was growing, and they genuinely said, can you tell me what this is? And it was a cabbage.
Really?
It was a cabbage, but it was a very obvious cabbage. It wasn't like anything fancy.
That sounds like a wind up.
It was no, I'm for real. I'm absolute 100% real with a cabbage. Yeah. Yeah, I know. See, flabbergasted, right?
Becky, what's
the
what's the oddest or biggest sample you've ever been sent?
Oh, we get big lumps of woods.
Yeah.
Like actually, like the base of and you think, oh my goodness, they must have like spent so much money, in transporting that. The worst samples are leaks. Leaks really smell in the post. They're horrible.
Right.
So as soon as you get a leak, you like log it quick and give it to entomology, because it's usually for entomology with the.
Oh, you must have the best smelling post at RHS Wisley, right?
The worst.
Yeah.
All the worst.
Yeah, based at Wisley. Yeah. So we get and then there's some of the mushrooms. By the time they get to us, they're a little bit maggoty.
Oh right. Oh God. It sounds like a help.
I've had one sample. Yeah, it is. No, we have a dirty lab. So with the new building that we've moved to now at Hilltop, we've now got a specific area where we open out all the samples. It's all wiped down and cleaned once we've done it. But yeah, one of the funniest samples is one that flew away. And they sent had a matchbox. Yeah. So it was a matchbox with a live fly in there, and I didn't realise. And I opened it and it flew off. And so I had to explain to the entomologist, I lost the sample.
Oh, God.
I saw it. So then they had to write back to the person. It was just a different type of blue bottle type thing, but the person was a bit, wanted to know where they come from and things. Because we did get quite a lot.
They should award you, though.
Yeah. I know, you'd think it'd say live sample on the box, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, Becky, do you get slugs in the post?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, occasionally, but I mean, they do take pictures of the slugs. And then when they did the swabber slug experiment at Wisley, that was quite interesting. Sometimes what they sent through with those, but yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
So what would happen, Becky? We talked about all these gruesome samples and all the help that you guys give, but what happens if you really can't answer the question? And you've Googled it, you looked in your books, you passed it to your colleagues as well, they can't answer. What happens?
It doesn't happen often. I mean, there's occasion, we can kind of give a rough idea, or we potentially might, surmise why it might be that way. It really doesn't happen that often because we've got so many like advisors. There's 20 of us, but with different experiences. And then we can always go to Guy. If in doubt, ask Guy. But yeah, it doesn't happen often. And then sometimes we can't get involved in some things, like some of the legal things. So trees and buildings can be quite difficult because that has to be looked at on site. And then also neighbourly disputes. That's quite sad sometimes, the neighbourly disputes.
Oh, it really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Always been lucky to never have that. Yeah.
My neighbour's tree is hanging over my fence. Can I cut it back or not? Can I take the fruit from the tree that's hanging over my side of the property?
At night, You do anything at night.
That's it, and then blocking. Loads of people want to have screens and block out the neighbours and stuff. And it's like, well, okay, that's fine, but you are going to give yourself more shade in the long, in the long run too. So it's and them as well, and the neighbours too. If you put up screening or even if it's like trees or hedging, you're shading both sides, aren't you? Really. I'm just wondering, over the past 2 years, obviously, we've seen a huge increase in people interested in gardening in general, growing their own food, that kind of thing, which is amazing and brilliant. Have you seen generally an increase in, beginner gardening questions and inquiries, since 2020, I guess, since the pandemic? Yeah, absolutely. We definitely had a big increase during the lockdown. With the phones, we actually had to put more advisors on just to help, cope with the numbers. We actually trained quite a few other people up that would have been furloughed to actually help with the numbers. So it's been brilliant, really. And then we also help out with different areas like the communities and the schools, just so that they've got our support as well from the advisory team. But yeah, definitely a lot more beginners, which is great. It's amazing, and just hopefully they know that they can come to us and ask any kind of question, because I think sometimes they get a little bit put off by asking questions, and it's like, no, you've got to start somewhere, and we are completely kitted out for helping you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What do you Oh,
sorry.
I'm speaking, but nothing's coming out, which is great, obviously.
I muted myself for a second because I wanted to have a gulp of water without you hearing it. I wondered also about like the climate change aspect of things. Do you get queries regarding that specifically too?
Yeah, definitely. So we actually have a fellow that's to do with the climate change, and a lot of her research is, obviously then supporting us with helping, giving it advice. But a lot more people are being more savvy on gardening in the changing climate, choosing peat-free, not wanting to use pesticides, herbicides, which is great. And then it's just helping them to garden better. One big question that's been happening is a lot with people not wanting to have grass, to have more of a low-growing meadow, which is brilliant, because lawns are a lot of hard work, and especially if you aren't able to irrigate them and water them like people have had with the hose pipe ban. And really, should you be using drinking water to water a lawn? It's like kind of like working with what you've got in your restrictions to still have a nice looking garden that's good for the environment and the wildlife too.
That's really interesting. That is kind of, I guess, where the trend is going to go. People having more questions about how to garden sustainably and how to grow in a different way and how to account for wildlife more in the plants that they plant as well. So I guess in all of your years, from the year 2000 to today, you must have seen a real change with the types of things people asked, right?
Oh, completely. I mean, like when the first started, it was spray everything, and you were pretty much giving advice on what chemicals to use. But even now, it's kind of like really looking at, fertilizers, actually really encouraging people to use their own homemade compost, and to it's path of least harm, which is great. And financially as well, because if people are making their own compost, that means that's less bags of compost that they need to buy. So it all goes hand in hand, and it's brilliant.
That's cool. Really, really interesting. Wow. Cool. Maybe you have got one of the coolest jobs in England. In horticulture, for sure. In
horticulture, yeah. Just answering gardening questions all day, every day.
Yeah. Cool. Wow. Any more questions, Ellen, or are you on mute again, dear?
No, I'm not on mute. Am I? Am I on mute? Flip. No.
Am I on mute?
Am I on mute? Oh, no.
It's like being back in, those virus briefings, wasn't it? You're on mute, Brian. And then they're like, next slide, please. Such a flowback.
Honestly, people still do that now. It drives me wild. It's like, I haven't got my headphones in yet.
Oh,
right.
no.
Oh, hang on. Why can't you hear me? And I'm like, you've been doing this for years.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, thank you so much. Becky, where can people find out more about you and the advice line online? Where do they go to look for all the details?
Yeah, so basically if you Google RHS gardening advice, that should take you to our main landing page, and that'll have all the different areas. And then also with the social media, I can be found every Tuesday at 12 till 2 on Twitter. Instagram's a little bit hit and miss, but we're usually there twice a month. But yeah, it's all out there for people to come and have a look and see what answer. Send us a question.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I scribbled down in my diary that you can go around the old laboratory at Wisley from Monday. What have I written that down for? What am I talking about? Because I always do this in my diary. I write something random in and then I don't know what I've done. But what have I written this down for? What's the lab all about?
So this is the old building, the mock Tudor building that's got the black, wooden panelling. So that's all being kitted out again inside to be like a traditional old lab. So you can do a little tour around and see how the old advisory desk used to look like, and the botany area. And it's just a nice new feature. And then hopefully there's going to be some exhibition rooms up there, so artwork can be there. So it's good. It's all cool. I haven't had a look around yet. I haven't been in, but I need to sneak in.
That's what I meant then. Good. But I still don't know what Cool Chris means. Don't know who that is. The random things I write in my diary.
You've got Cool Chris written in your diary.
Yeah. I've always got, and I never put enough information there. And then I'm like spending so much time trying to work out what I meant by it. So at least
you must mean Chris Young, because he was on an episode of the podcast a couple of weeks back. So you must hear.
Or is it Chris? Because it's Chris that does the Twitter when I'm on holiday. So Chris,
I don't know.
Young, not Chris.
Try not
Chris
to worry
Taylor.
yourself, Becky.
No.
Try not to worry yourself.
Okay.
You just want to help people all day. It's in your bones.
No, it is. It's weird. And when I'm in the street, people always stop and ask me questions. So I must have that kind of helpful looking.
Is that
face.
annoying though? Or not?
A little bit, because especially if I'm lost. Because especially if I'm in somewhere. Yeah.
But also if you're at a party and someone because I always moan to Ellen about this, and I even printed it on a t-shirt. Don't ask me to design your garden, because the minute they find out what you do, they'll be like, why are the leaves on my plum a little bit silvery? And they'll always ask you. It's like that's the only thing that they could possibly talk to you about.
That's what I get as well. And sometimes it's like, you must come and see my garden, or you must come and see my allotment. I'm just like, no. Anyway, thank you.
I was at a party on Friday, and I got asked about a Tommy's tree. So it happens.
Oh dear, no worries.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much, Becky. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. So, listeners, if you've got queries and you hear the voice on the line, it will be Becky. And maybe some others, but mainly Becky. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Megan, known as the Carnivorous Plant Girl on my Instagram and YouTube. Firstly, I'd like to thank Ellen and Michael for inviting me to talk on their podcast once again. So, I specialise in the subject of carnivorous plants, which includes everything and anything from their research, care and propagation. These plants have now been a big part of my life for about 10 years, and most recently become the heart of all of my spare time in hope to spread the message surrounding these wonderful and unique plants. So there's around 12 families of carnivorous plants, which includes various genus, and today there's also around 800 species currently known. These are all found worldwide, and they're in basically every continent except Antarctica. So with so many different carnivorous plants from so many different locations, it basically allows them to be grown in a range of conditions as well. So whether you want to grow a carnivorous plant inside on a sunny windowsill year round, or grow light, or even like in your garden, there's always going to be a carnivorous plant for you. So it's now time of year when the weather has started to slowly warm up. The clocks have started to change, showing that spring is nearly here. The plants in the greenhouse are starting to break dormancy, which includes everything from like your Sarracenia, which is your North American pitcher plants, your Dioniae, which is your Venus flytrap, as well as like your temperate Drosera, which is your sundews, and the temperate Pinguicula, which is your butterwort. So all these plants require winter rest, which takes place during the colder months from around October to February. So during this time, the plants will die down to basically their rhizomes or hibernacula. Some of them will even die down to the roots in order to store energy. So this kind of helps with better growth year after year. So these cold temperate carnivorous plants are your perfect candidates for like your outside bog planter, or even in your unheated greenhouse year round, and are able to tolerate like the cold freezing temperatures. So even with the winter like we had this year, which for me it got down to I think -7 was the lowest it went. I had some worries at first. I think it's the coldest that my collection has reached during the winter, but all my plants seem to have come out the other side. All of them have got new growth coming. I don't think I've really had basically any losses, no more than usual anyway. So, it's been great just to see that how resilient and, cold hardy that these plants actually are. So although it is sad to see the plants die back for winter, it also makes it even more exciting to see the first new buds and obviously leaves during the springtime. So like my favourite things this time of year is kind of seeing the first flower stalks on my Sarracenia, and then the first dewy leaves of my Drosera unfurl. So honestly, for me, there is no better feeling than this. So
This is also the perfect time of year to repot and divide your carnivorous plants, so especially those that are about to come out of dormancy, but even those that don't have a dormancy period, such as like your nepenthes, which is your tropical picture plant, or even monkey jugs as some people refer to them. Your like helium phora, which is your sun pitcher, and even your Mexican pinguicula, which is another type of butterwort. So they're just to name a few, that they could all be repotted now too. So this is so easy to do and allows you to divide and propagate your plants at the same time, which is also the easiest way to build up a collection of plants and gain multiple copies of like your favourite stuff. So if you wish to check out some of my plants and see what I do, or even find out more about these amazing plants, then feel free to give me a follow on my Instagram, which is Carnivorous Plant Girl, which has got underscores between each of the words. Or if you would like to even learn more about how to care for your carnivorous plants or how to propagate them, then feel free to have a check out of my YouTube channel as well, which again is the same name, Carnivorous Plant Girl, with the underscores between. Or even check out my new blog, which is called The Carnivorous Greenhouse, and I will cover things with pictures for reference kind of the care and propagation, but you also kind of get an insight of what I do like in my spare time, so any research that I'm currently doing, or even if I go to any carnivorous plant open days. So lots of pictures from my own collection there. So I'm always happy for a chat and to answer any questions you may have surrounding carnivorous plants, so feel free to give me a message over on my Instagram, and thank you all for listening.
Have you heard of Songbird Survival? Saving songbirds with science. It's a charity and you can find them online, and it's all about saving our beautiful garden songbirds.
But what are songbirds? Well, they're perching birds. Their feet have adapted to have 3 toes facing forwards and 1 toe facing backwards. Songbirds also have a highly developed voice box, which means they can sing beautiful and complex songs. There are more than 50 species resident in the UK, and you'll find them in gardens, parks, woodland, and farmlands as well. Their songs constantly evolve as well, and they're primarily used to defend homes and to attract mates. And you can look on the website Songbird Survival, and you'll find an A to Z of all those birds.
And how do you attract birds into your garden? Well, you want to include 5 essentials for that wildlife-friendly garden. 1 is shelter, making sure that there's lots of space for birds and small mammals to escape to. Plenty of food, so an assortment of flowers and vegetation that attracts insects. Nesting spaces, so plenty of trees and shrubs, and of course nesting boxes. You want to provide some water, a lovely shallow bird bath, and also just be natural. There's no need to always mow the lawn.
Good morning, Michael.
Oh, good morning. How's it going? I'm staring at an Albuca spiralis at the moment.
Are you? Where is that?
It's on my table. It's taken like a week to flower. It's driving me crazy.
I want to see it.
You know when you've got a flower that's just not...
Oh, wow.
Like almost 2 weeks, I would say. Crazy.
But when it does, it will be so special.
I know. It will be cool, actually. So I just... I'm looking out and I can see some beautiful double daffodils I picked up in M&S yesterday. Of course, they would have more bougie daffodils, but there's no sun. I did also promise myself I wouldn't talk about the weather today. So, yeah. How are you?
I'm very well. I was
without the weather, I've got nothing.
There's nothing to talk about.
No chit-chat.
That's why us Brits always talk about the weather. It's funny, isn't it? It's like
I don't think people do that in every language, right?
I don't think they do. Like where I am, people don't really, unless it's very extreme.
Maybe
one
you don't
really
understand the language.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes there's been occasions where I've gone in to order some food, say for example, and I have no idea what they've said to me. None. Really? Like really proper deep south, and with a little mix of something else in, I don't know what. And I'm literally like, I have no idea what you're saying. Cool. But you can guarantee that they will say, "Oh, we love your accent."
I know. And then you've got to like ham it up like I would.
And then I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much. I would love to have some more on that, please."
It's like we're kind of toys cartoons.
It's really funny. Anyway, what I was going to say to you was, what can you see from your apartment? Like, do you have a view?
Yeah, well, what can I see? I can see a few cranes because there's lots of building. Because I might not have mentioned on the podcast before, but like this season, because there's a lot more work happening in London, QVC, we started renting an apartment it's in Brentford, but I call it Chiswick. It's the wrong side of the motorway, but don't mention that. And it's really nice. It's got a lovely workspace. I've got the balcony kind of full of plants in a way that almost looks like a garden. I'm looking at it now. I kind of got house plants inside, plants outside. It looks like this seamless kind of garden-scape almost.
That's nice.
I'm looking to Airbnb my house in Suffolk. So if you know anyone, then And of course, it's a really difficult decision because, of course, I miss the garden that I've created there, but I've still got the place and I'm still spending time there. But it just sort of became impractical, always then kind of being away for work, and you just kind of wanted to feel a bit more settlement. So, obviously it's not at all amongst nature as obviously my garden is, but really what I want is a farmhouse anyway. So,
don't we all? Don't we all?
In a way. But no, it's beautiful. You've not been here yet, I know, because we couldn't meet last time. I had laryngitis, didn't I?
Yeah, you haven't invited me.
I'm always making up some illness not to meet you, Ellen.
Yeah, you haven't invited me.
Shush. Anyway, new series 11.
Can you believe it? I don't know.
Do you want to tell people?
I just don't know how I've worked with you for this long, to be honest. Like, you're so hard to work with. You're such a diva, you know?
It just becomes very natural and kind of, of course you might take the mick, but we are just really in tune and we kind of usually know what each other are thinking. Granted, your mind's often 5 seconds behind mine, but we generally do a good job,
I'm quite pleased you said. Only 5 seconds.
Only 5 seconds.
So we have got a wonderful series coming up. I'm just skipping over what you just said, including Geb and Green. So growing peat-free houseplants. That was so epic to go and visit them, wasn't it? We've got a really lovely episode about flower essences and how good they are for your body. A really excellent interview with Dan from the World Land Trust, which is all about biodiversity across the world. We've just got so much coming up. So, and Series 11, of course, is sponsored by Stoneleigh. So that's an excuse to get sloshed also.
Get sloshed. That's such an 80s word. I love that.
Isn't it?
100% sustainable wines as well. Obviously vegan, so that keeps you happy, my lady. A few other episodes we're hoping to bag, as well as kind of mosses, watercress, and maybe an interview with one of the big retailers as well, which would be a nice insight. Contributors, we've got Megan, haven't we, talking about insect-eating plants. Who else? Andrew Wayne. He always had a crush on you. You know this, Ellen Mary, right?
I have no idea. No. Who? What?
Andrew Wayne. Oh no.
Oh, Andrew Wayne.
I just told you something I shouldn't.
I didn't know he had a crush on me. No.
Yeah, don't you know that? For years. It's obvious. What? No.
Oh,
you
great.
know.
Thanks, Andrew. I actually really didn't. That's really cute though. I like Andrew. He's so funny. And we used to have this banter online where anything that was fluffy or furry, he would always just tag me in it and say fluffy or something. And it went on for so long.
Because he fancied you.
He's given up now, of course.
So he's going to be here doing some really funny stuff, I hope. Beardy Gardner as well. Love him. He'll be talking about mental health. And he's really propelled in the last year or so. He's going to be at some nice RHS shows this year. Love seeing how his career is evolving, actually. Really interesting.
He's creating a border at Hampton. I think he's really excited about doing that. And it's great to have him on the podcast.
Yeah, and lastly, Alstromerias we're talking about, aren't we?
Ben over at Alstromeria. Alstromeria Ben. So I think it's another awesome series. Well done, us.
Well done, us. Exactly. So, how's your week, dear?
It is.
Is he
full.
bumblebees?
It's full. Like, it's literally full.
And so I come back to the UK I leave here on the 31st of March, so only a few days away. And in between that, we have a trip to Florida, which sounds really exotic and indulgent. But we're going to see a friend of mine who I used to play netball with. And I'm really excited to go and see her, like super looking forward to it. But also,
seen her for a while, or?
I haven't seen her for a while now. But also in between all of that is I've been here mostly over the winter. But why is it that everything kind of backs up to the last few days before you leave? So all the things I need to do need to happen like literally within the next few days, and I'm running out of time. So and then obviously there's still like work on top of all of that. So yeah, it's a busy few weeks, but I have just certified as a hypnotherapist. So I'm now certified and accredited. So that's really awesome. And I've just about finished my certified forest therapy guide as well. So I spent all winter training in order to get back in April so that I can provide the retreats and stuff. So I think I've ticked things off the list this winter, which is really awesome.
That's really cool, darling. Retreat is cool. We're about a month out to that as well. I'm really looking forward to it because I don't know if it's been the weather, Ellen, but I feel like I've been in a very introspective mood in the last few weeks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I go through stages like that. And also, I think there's an element of age that comes with that too.
So?
Yeah, I do. I think as we get older, we spend a little bit more time thinking internally about who we are and how we are, what we are,
it's
what we want.
I don't hate it. Yeah.
No, it's good. It's good. I think it's good to reflect and observe how you feel, but also not dwell too much on the past, just to look
I'm always moving forward all the time.
Yeah,
definitely.
I was talking to my husband about that literally this morning. We were honestly saying about how all of the past is a dream. So if you think back to when you were a child, it's like a dream because you're so different now to what you were then. And it's lovely to have those memories, if they're good memories, of course. But at the end of the day, it's gone. So just
I forget things really quickly. Like sometimes if I've had a disagreement with someone, I can't remember what I've fallen out with them about. So I can't bear grudges because I literally forget.
That's the best way to be. That's the best way to be. So introspectively, what have you found about yourself then over the past few weeks?
I don't know. I don't know anything specific. It's just the kind of feeling. And to be honest, I only, sometimes things come to you. I only kind of really just summed it up on the train earlier. And I was just kind of, I just feel a bit introspective. And sometimes it's a journey. It's just a flow anyway, isn't it? And you kind of almost, you're feeling something, but you don't know what. Yeah. But you just,
and you don't have to know what.
Yeah.
You don't have to know what.
Yeah.
Just know you're feeling
but
it.
Kind of taking the time, you're more than... you need to kind of indulge, and allow it to happen. So
absolutely. So the Wild Wellbeing Retreat will help you do that. We've got pretty much everything booked up now. We have one accommodation left only, which is epic and way beyond, what I could ever have imagined for the first retreat. So that's exciting. And we've got macrame workshop, mindful gardening workshop. We've got massage, Reiki, forest bathing, foraging, and just chill. And we've got a make your own pizza night on Saturday night. We're going to get the bonfire going so we can sit around the bonfire, eat pizza and just chat. It's going to be super, super chilled. So you're going to have a lovely time, Michael. I just know it.
Of course I will. Of course. This weekend I work in QVC, and then on Saturday, I'm quite excited about this. Emma Real Davis, she's organised a little Q meetup. She's doing a seed swap. And I'm really looking forward to going along because I don't often go to those things. So it's quite nice that I have to say, since being in London, it's kind of freed my diary up in some ways here and there where I can then, I guess because I'm in London. And a lot of things used to happen in London, then I have to kind of fix them onto a trip here and there, or take or lo and behold, take a special trip to London, which when you're from Suffolk, that's obviously the most terrifying thing to do. There's a lot of people from my hometown who've only been on the motorway as far as Lakeside Shopping Centre. So, I know how that feeling can be. But, so it's kind of, I'm more available for those sort of things, which is really cool. So, and by the time you hear this, I'll have done my Barracuda workshop at Camden, which obviously is easier being down here. And and then doing one in Richmond tomorrow. So yeah, it's pretty cool. TB and H.
TBNH. Wow, that's really exciting. I haven't been to a Seas Swap for ages. There's usually a really big one in Norwich in the summer, but
Is there? And in Brighton as well, isn't there?
Pardon?
There was one in Brighton last few years, wasn't there? Or Bristol, no?
Bristol?
One of those
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's I might look it up. That's inspired me to check it out for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Very
I
good.
wonder if you maybe saw my little news on Instagram. My little dog Purdy, she had to be put down by my ex, which was so sad this week. And I think that maybe made me a little bit introspective. So yeah, it was really so my little dogs have both passed away now.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Years. I know, and they'd lived with my ex for the last kind of, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so. But they obviously lived with me for like half of their lives. So it was really, really sad to say goodbye initially. But yeah, to hear that news, it's like the message that you didn't want to receive. So, but do you know what? They were 16 years old, which is really, little border terriers, 16 is a really...
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
they had a lovely life and you have happy memories of them. Yeah. That's the most important thing to take away. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You can probably see the
most tear in my eye you've ever seen, Ellen Mary, even on Zoom with a filter.
What I'd like to know is, did the tear drip down your face or did you keep it in control in your eye? Because I can't imagine you crying. Like, I just literally cannot imagine it.
Really? No. It's not quite moist because I'm doing all right on it. But yeah, I think that's kind of added to my introspection as well. Yeah. So yeah. Funny.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Well, Ellen. Yeah.
That's okay. And there's always plants to be around. They make you happy.
How's your ball of fluff? I heard that she got a nice long walk today.
She's laying on the sofa behind me. I'm going to move so you can see it.
Oh, what a queen.
She is. She's literally.
Oh, hang on. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at a teddy, wasn't I?
No, that's her.
Oh, no, that is the dog. Is there 3 cushions and a dog or 2 cushions and a dog?
There's 3 cushions and a dog. So you joke that she's like a teddy bear, and sometimes she will lay up beside me, and I literally squeeze her like she's a teddy bear.
Is she
I managed to take her on a long walk because she gets a bit barky at me if I'm on a call for too long. And also I can't say the word, when you say cheerio, but in a different word, she knows what that means. So she will get up because she's...
What if I say it?
She can't hear because I've got my headphones in.
Ah, okay. We should try
I can't say the word because she will immediately know, and then she gets up and starts barking to go out for me. So there you go. Anyway, she's all good. She's had a nice long walk. She's tired out. Happy days.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute.
We love it. All right. Well, super nice chatting with you, as always.
Nice to see you. Listeners, thank you for listening so far. Series 11, here we are. Stoneleigh is our sponsor. You can find out more about them online. Listen to our little ads and jingles to find out more. But also, you've got something cool coming up next, which is our homework for the week. Woohoo! Okay, a new little feature here for Series 11. We've got homework for the week. So this week, we want you guys to go away and come back and tell us as many songs that you can think of that have a plant or flower in the title. And we'll be putting an Instagram post up from early Monday morning, so you can then leave your comments there. So, Ellen, how are you feeling about naming a few planty songs this week? Got any in mind?
I'm feeling very confident already because there's got to be a lot. There's a lot, right? So, the first one that sprung to my mind, like, we're just going to give a few examples, and if you answer on social, if you answer on social media, you can't use these ones. You have to cross these off the list. No cheating. Kiss from a Rose by Seal. I used to love that song.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Well, my couple are quite niche. You might not know them because you're not into cool music, Ellen. So Cherry Blossom Girl, you know this by Air?
No idea.
No, knew it. You might know Forget Me Nots, Patrice Rushen, which was actually used as a sample for Fast Love by George Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that one.
I've got another random one that nobody else will get, so I'm happy to give this away. But do you remember in the 90s, there's this really random song called Bring Me Edelweiss? And it was the most mad performing kind of, I can't remember what the band was called. And they performed on Top of the Pops with lots of people in different outfits. There was a dwarf bobbing around. The song was full of samples as well. And it had this yodeling in as well. And that is Bring Me Edelweiss. So...
I have to YouTube this because I can.
It is mad. It's like you're tripping, honestly. So anyway, there you go, listeners. That is your homework for the week. The Instagram post will be up tomorrow morning on Monday. Comment, reply, and let us know as many songs as you can think of that have a plant or flower in the title. Make sure you check out our sponsor, Stoneleigh Wines. Their premium wines in New Zealand are made from 100% sustainably sourced grapes. They're also vegan certified. Our favourite, the Stoneleigh Sauvignon Blanc, displays vibrant and fresh aromas of passion fruit and citrus crisp notes. We have an exclusive discount code that gives you 20% off on Amazon. You just need to type in the code Stoneleigh20. The music for the Plant-Based podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.